Is it possible that a single number, a single survey, and a single name could shift the axis of a group's narrative that for a decade has been defined by unity, solidarity, and the formula of 7 as 1? That question echoed like the clang of invisible metal in the inner space of millions of K-pop fans when the results of Arirang TV's global survey were released in early July 2025, not merely as statistics, but as a cultural signal vibrating far beyond the boundaries of music, fandom, and the entertainment industry itself. On the surface, the report seemed simple. Jungkook of BTS and IU were crowned the world's most favorite male and female K-pop stars, based on a survey of 601 respondents from 94. Yet beneath those layers of numbers lay a far more complex, emotional, and potentially transformative story about how the world perceives BTS, Jungkook, and even the very concept of popularity in K-pop. Amid the growing turbulence of an increasingly globalized industry, the survey results struck like lightning in broad daylight. Jungkook secured 12.7% of the votes, placing him at the very top as the world's most favored male K-pop artist. Behind him, his own group mate Jimin followed with 11.1%, then RM with 6.9%, V with 6.5%, and J-Hope with 6%. Taemin of SHINee ranked 6th with 4.9%, while Jin closed the top 7 with 3.7%. One detail that did not escape public attention was Suga's absence from the top 7, a fact that immediately triggered waves of discussion, speculation, and debate across social media. Was this merely a fluctuation in fan preferences, or a sign of a deeper shift in BTS's popularity dynamics? Meanwhile, in the female category, IU dominated with 17% of the votes, far surpassing Rose of Blackpink with 11.3%, Jennie and Lisa with 10.6% each, as well as Karina of aespa with 5.5% and Jisoo with 5.1%. IU's dominance seemed to reaffirm her status as an unshakable solo icon, yet Jungkook's victory carried a different layer of meaning. If IU stood as a symbol of consistency and individual power in the industry, Jungkook stood at the crossroads between BTS's collective identity and an increasingly unstoppable personal appeal. Across digital platforms, especially X, the survey results instantly exploded into a major topic of conversation. Fanbase accounts such as @DailyChPraise flooded timelines with celebrations, analyses, and narrative fragments that position Jungkook not just as a popular BTS member, but as the new face of K-pop itself. For some fans, this was undeniable proof of global love. For others, it sparked unease. Did this victory indirectly place Jungkook above his fellow members, shifting the narrative from BTS as 7 to BTS with one center of gravity? Arirang TV, as the survey organizer, stated that participation from 94 countries demonstrated just how vast K-pop's reach has become. Yet the figure of 601 respondents also invited critical questions. Was this survey truly representative, or did it reflect the highly organized mobilization of certain fandoms? In the world of K-pop, where voting often becomes a digital battlefield, the line between public preference and fandom power grows increasingly blurred. This is where the narrative becomes even more dramatic because Jungkook's win is not merely about popularity, but about how the world chooses to see K-pop and who becomes its face. Over the years, Jungkook has been praised as a consistent, talented idol with cross-cultural appeal. From his breathtaking vocals to his charismatic stage presence, he is often described as a figure who bridges language and cultural boundaries. Yet with this coronation, that label feels crystallized into something much larger, a global symbol of modern K-pop. The question is whether this symbol strengthens BTS, or gradually alters the internal balance of a group long admired for its collective harmony. International media highlighted that these results reflect the continuing rise of BTS and Blackpink's influence, as well as IU's unique position as a solo artist capable of competing with major groups. But beneath this optimistic narrative lies an unspoken tension. BTS was built on a story of togetherness, shared struggle, and an inseparable collective identity. When one member begins to stand out so significantly in the eyes of the world, does that story remain intact, or does it begin to fracture? In academic spaces, some cultural observers have started reading these results as a reflection of K-pop's changing landscape. Popularity is no longer measured solely through album sales or streaming numbers, but through global perception shaped by media, algorithms, and online communities. In this context, Jungkook is not just a survey winner, but a representation of how the world now consumes and personalizes K-pop idols. Yet for millions of ARMY around the world, these numbers bring mixed emotions. Pride in Jungkook's achievement walks hand in hand with anxiety that the narrative of 7 together could be reduced to one who shines the brightest. In fan forums, discussions flow endlessly. Is this a natural evolution of a global group, or the beginning of a more fundamental shift? Here lies the peak of the tension. The Arirang TV survey may have been intended as a celebration of K-pop's popularity, but unintentionally, it opened the door to a far bigger question. When the world chooses Jungkook, does BTS continue to revolve as 7, or slowly begin to orbit around a single name? The answer remains uncertain, but the reverberations of this survey have already begun to shake the foundations of BTS's narrative, and perhaps, the entire K-pop industry itself. Behind the thunderous cheers of global celebration over Jungkook's victory, a more complex undercurrent has begun to move, slowly yet surely, like tectonic plates shifting beneath the surface of the K-pop industry. The 12.7% he achieved in the Arirang TV survey may appear small at first glance, but in an ecosystem saturated with symbols, fandom politics, and attention economy, that number feels like an undeniable statement of cultural power. Not simply because Jungkook stood at the top, but because he surpassed not just rivals from other groups, but his own bandmates, the members of BTS who have long been positioned as equals in the group's public, visual, and ideological narrative since BTS's debut. The industry and fandom have consistently embraced the concept of 7 as 1, a mantra repeatedly echoed in interviews, documentaries, and their music. Each member has their own role, color, and strength, yet none has ever been explicitly promoted as an absolute center. But now, with the world choosing Jungkook as the most favored male K-pop star, that invisible line has begun to appear more clearly. International media read this victory as proof of Jungkook's global appeal, but within fandom discussion spaces, a more unsettling question emerged. Is BTS gradually shifting from a collective to an orbit revolving around a single core? Arirang TV may have merely conducted a survey, but its results triggered a domino effect far beyond anyone's expectations. On one hand, Jungkook's win is seen as the pinnacle of an idol's journey who has grown before the world's eyes, from a shy magne to a respected global icon. On the other hand, the victory also highlights a popularity gap that can no longer be hidden behind rhetoric of equality. Jimin, who placed second with 11.1%, shows that internal competition remains very close, yet that gap is still enough to fuel narratives of those left behind in media and fandom. Suga's absence from the top 7 further complicated the atmosphere, not because of a lack of talent or contribution, but because within K-pop logic, a BTS member failing to enter the top ranks can be interpreted as a signal of shifting global taste. Some analysts argue that this is merely normal dynamics in the entertainment industry, where popularity is always fluctuating. However, for many ARMY, this fact felt like a small crack in BTS's monolithic image as an unshakable group. Meanwhile, IU's dominance with 17% of votes in the female category created an intriguing contrast. If IU stands as a symbol of individual power in an industry often dominated by groups, Jungkook occupies a paradoxical position, an individual shining the brightest within a group built on collective identity. This comparison became unavoidable in international coverage, crafting parallel narratives about two faces of modern K-pop, one born from a solo career, the other from group harmony. On social media, debates intensified. Some fans praised Jungkook as the best representation of K-pop on the global stage, viewing his win as proof that BTS has successfully transcended cultural and linguistic boundaries. Yet others worried that excessive focus on one member could overshadow the contributions of the other 6. This narrative grew stronger as major accounts on X began framing Jungkook's victory as an unofficial coronation by the world, a phrase loaded with political and symbolic meaning. The entertainment industry also felt the impact. Labels and agencies viewed the survey results as indicators of global market direction, a map of preferences that could influence future promotion strategies, collaborations, and solo projects. For HYBE as BTS's agency, this situation presented a subtle dilemma. How to celebrate Jungkook's achievement without inadvertently shifting the group's internal balance. How to leverage this global momentum without damaging the narrative of togetherness that forms the foundation of the BTS brand. In academic circles, cultural observers began interpreting this phenomenon as a reflection of how the world now consumes idols. In the algorithmic era, individuals who appear most frequently on screens, generate the most discussion, and go viral tend to accumulate their own gravitational pull. Jungkook, with his combination of talent, visuals, and strong personal narrative, has become that center of gravity, not by force but through the mechanics of digital culture itself. Yet beyond rational analysis lies an emotional dimension that cannot be ignored. BTS is not merely an industry product, but a symbol of hope, friendship, and struggle for millions of fans. When the world seems to choose one name over others, mixed feelings arise. Pride, anxiety, confusion, and even a sense of loss toward the ideal of seven together that has long been cherished. Some fans argue that Jungkook's victory actually strengthens BTS, as he brings global spotlight that ultimately benefits the entire group. Others see it as the beginning of a more individualistic narrative, where BTS members are increasingly treated as separate entities rather than an inseparable whole. The tension between these two perspectives has become the heart of the debate now dominating digital spaces. The Arirang TV survey, initially intended as a celebration of K-pop's popularity, has unknowingly opened a new chapter in BTS's history. No longer just about who is most favored, but about what popularity itself means within the context of a legendary group. Is Jungkook's victory merely an individual peak moment that leaves BTS's structure unchanged, or the first sign of a broader narrative shift? One question now hangs heavier in the air. As the world continues to center its attention on Jungkook, will BTS still be seen as seven stars shining together, or slowly transform into one sun orbited by 6 planets? The answer remains unclear, but the reverberations of this survey have already planted seeds of doubt, hope, and speculation that will continue to echo far beyond the numbers on paper. To this point, the story of Jungkook, BTS, and the world of K-pop enters a darker, more speculative territory, yet one that cannot be ignored. Jungkook's victory in the Arirang TV survey is no longer merely statistical data, but a mirror reflecting the future of the industry, the dynamics of fandom, and the possible transformation of BTS's own identity. If previously BTS stood as an unshakable symbol of togetherness, now a major question hangs in the air. Is the world slowly shaping a new version of BTS? No longer 7 equal stars, but one center of gravity with 6 orbits around it. International media have begun to read these results as a sign that Jungkook has surpassed the status of a member of a popular group and stepped into the realm of a global icon, standing almost on equal footing with the name BTS itself. In many headlines, his name has started to appear not just as Jungkook of BTS, but as Jungkook, a global K-pop icon. This shift in language may seem subtle, yet it carries significant implications. If the world increasingly recognizes him as an individual standing on his own, what becomes of BTS's collective narrative in the eyes of the global public? Within the HYBE ecosystem, this victory is likely being interpreted in 2 ways. On one hand, it is an extraordinary asset, proof that one of their artists possesses cross-cultural appeal capable of opening more solo opportunities, international collaborations, and global projects. On the other hand, it presents a complex managerial challenge: how to capitalize on Jungkook's momentum without fracturing BTS's internal balance or creating a perception of excessive inequality. Meanwhile, ARMY around the world are divided by complex emotions. Many celebrate Jungkook's achievement as a collective victory for BTS, seeing it as evidence that the group's hard work has borne fruit. Yet there is also an unspoken unease, a fear that too much spotlight on one member could gradually obscure the contributions of the other 6. In online discussion spaces, the question keeps resurfacing: is this a natural evolution, or the beginning of a more fundamental shift? The K-pop industry itself watches this moment with bated breath. If Jungkook is now perceived as the primary face of male K-pop, a new standard has been set. Other idols may be compared to him, other labels may imitate strategies that center promotion around a single figure, and the concept of the group as a unified whole could slowly shift toward a more individualistic model. In academic circles, some cultural observers view this victory as a reflection of the algorithmic era, in which individuals with the highest visibility tend to accumulate attention, regardless of the collective narrative around them. Jungkook, with his combination of talent, charisma, and global image, has become that attention magnet, not because it was designed this way, but because the mechanisms of digital culture push him to center stage. Yet beyond all this analysis, one thing remains unshaken. BTS is not merely numbers or rankings, but a symbol of journey, friendship, and struggle that has inspired millions. Jungkook's victory may shift how the world sees them, but it is also part of the larger, ever-evolving story of BTS itself. Yet beyond industry analysis and numerical calculations, there is a far more human dimension that is rarely touched upon in formal reports. Jungkook is not merely an object of surveys or a cultural commodity. He is an individual who has grown up under global scrutiny since his teenage years, carrying the weight of millions of expectations on his shoulders. This coronation, however proud it may make him, can also be read as a double-edged sword. The higher he is exalted, the greater the pressure that surrounds him. Behind his calm smile on stage lies the psychological reality of an idol who must constantly navigate between his personal identity and an ever-expanding global image. On the other hand, the world seems to relish this narrative as a form of modern cultural drama. One name rising, six names struggling to preserve the shadow of togetherness. The media keeps repeating the question, fandom continues to debate, and algorithms keep amplifying every fragment of the story. In this vortex, Jungkook stands at the center, not as a single antagonist or protagonist, but as a symbol of a changing era. The world has chosen Jungkook, but will that choice bind BTS even more tightly together, or gradually reshape how they are remembered in K-pop history? The answer has yet to arrive, yet the pulse of change has already begun to beat, slowly, inevitably, and growing louder.